Diamonds in the rough. NFL Draft Diamonds. Time to shine.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and today I have with me Colten Menges, who's a long snapper out of Alcorn State. How's it going, sir?
Good. How's it going?
It's going, man. Hey, man, everybody really wants to know a little bit more about you and your story. So let's just kind of dive right into that, man. I mean, give me like a brief history of your career to date, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So my dad's military, so I have a long story.
That's fine. Go for
it. So the home is in Texas. That's where everybody's from. But I was born in Kansas, and competed in Kansas. And went to Alaska over there, Florida, and then I eventually graduated high school in England. That was an experience. Being able to go to Germany, Italy, Netherlands, all those other different places was fantastic. But in terms of football, it's really tough. The recruitment's really hard. You don't get any exposure. College coaches, they don't know who you're competing against, and it really puts you at a disadvantage getting to the next level from high school. I did have some D1 opportunity walk-on things. Couldn't afford it, so didn't take it. Ended up going D3 to a school in Minnesota, Concordia Moorhead. Was only there for a semester. Didn't really like it. Wasn't for me. And went to Blinn. Went to the junior college route. Almost blind. I had a brief conversation with the coach there, and I wasn't offered anything. It was all walk on, and got there and tried out for the team and got to the redshirt program, and finally got my spot that next year, and was playing tight end for them for a little bit while I was long snapping, and ended up getting a text during one of the before the bowl game and at my JUCO, and it was from Alcorn, and they're like, hey, you're good, and we want to offer you, and I ended up taking it, and it's been amazing. The winning tradition in there is outstanding. It is a small school, but with the loyalty of the fans and all that, and the crowd and the atmosphere that those guys provide is, it almost makes you feel like it's not an FCS school. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a great fan base there at Alcorn. I mean, you guys, at least as far as I know, over the past handful of years, I mean, you guys are always in that, championship game. I mean, as of late, it's been against NC-A&T. So, I mean, they've had a lot of great success. So bumping heads with those guys is always hard. But Alcorn's had a lot of great success over the past several years. I mean, I know there are really a great handful of guys that are really good athletes, just like yourself, some of which are sticking around for a little while. Unfortunately, you guys didn't have a chance to play this season. So very unfortunate situation there. I think that there's some other thing that was just recently put out about like this upcoming spring season. I don't know if it's been officially like declared yet or not as to whether or not your conference is playing, but you yourself, you've actually had a lot of great opportunities as of late. I mean, you're in a good handful of all-star events layly. Chat with me a little bit about those. I mean, we're talking College Gridiron Showcase, Tropical Bowl, Hula Bowl. I think that you were also invited to one of those virtual events. So chat with me a little bit about, your experience, because I mean, a lot of people really know who you are right now. I mean, you're one of those top, guys at your position. So talk to me about those all-star events.
Yeah. So I believe the first one was the NFLPA virtual event. And I think, with the COVID stuff, I think they did a really good job of being able to do what they can with, what they were able to do. Not a lot of guys go to that. It's not the same as it was last year, but it's still a, one step closer, to being able to get into the NFL, and getting your name out. And, the next was the Tropical Bowl, down in Orlando, Florida. It wasn't the most funded event out there, but the ability to compete in front of scouts and have those scouts, on the sideline watching you, do your thing is you can't put a price tag on it. So, and then CGS, awesome, was in Dallas. There was no game. The CGS is drills. And so, scouts were really able to see me, do my job over and over, instead of, getting, 4 or 5 reps, or whatever it may be, and able to see my consistency and all that good stuff. But I think that went really well. And, the Hula Bowl was by far the best one, in my opinion. I mean, it's in Hawaii. Who wouldn't want to go there? My hotel room, the balcony there was a few hundred feet or so from the beach. I mean, I'm right on the beach. Just amazing. I mean, who gets to do that, and we're getting a ring, which is, it looks incredible. It's, I had my last name on my jersey. I've never had that before in college. So I think that's, really sweet.
Awesome, dude. I mean, it just sounds like a great experience. I mean, especially being out there, looking out your window and seeing paradise. I mean, obviously, great event out there. Just awesome to be able to, actually play a game. That had to be a great thing to, put on that helmet again and not just go through drills and such, but to actually, go out there and play a game. So cool thing. I think a lot of people really want to know because, I mean, you're a big dude. I mean, 6'4", 6'4.25", 255 pounds. I mean, quite frankly, in some cases, like I wouldn't even want you, playing long snapper, but it is what it is. I think the big question is like, how did you become a long snapper, man? Like, is it just kind of something that just happened? I mean, you talked a little bit about you being, playing D end and playing tight end, but was that just something you sort of fell into?
Yeah. So, in high school, we didn't have a long snapper. And, I love to compete, and it was another option for me to compete a little bit more. I did play both sides of the ball, but it just wasn't enough for me. So, I went outside with my dad, at the house, and practiced a little bit, and was able, I mean, I wasn't very good in high school, but I was able to get, good enough just to get the job done. At the time, I wasn't really worried about the snap, so much. I was, hey, this is another time to run on field and blast somebody. And, and I went to college, went to up in Minnesota, was DN for them and snapped as well. Still kind of focused on my DN stuff. And, then I went to Blend, I played tight end there and long snapped. And, then I met Kyle Stelter, especially you, through social media. Ended up giving him a try. And, he's improved me in my game, just incredible amounts. And being honest with myself, I wasn't going to go anywhere, NFL wise as a tight end or DN. So I packed it up after Blend. But since then I've been really focused on long snapping only, and it's been incredible. I mean, if you saw my start to finish from Blend to Alcorn, I mean, my form is much better, and I'm a better athlete than I was. So I think I'm totally two different people. I think it's shown.
Gotcha. I mean, I realize you've been an athlete in other sports as well. I mean, you have a pretty decent wrestling background, which is nice to be able to bring that to the table because it does certainly translate to football. But I was also going to just ask you a little bit because, I mean, let's just face it. I mean, not a lot of people really understand the long snapper position and really what you do. So I don't know if you could maybe just sort of walk me through a little bit of like a typical practice, and maybe even just kind of tell me a little bit about your mentality and your approach to practice, so that people that don't really understand the position get like a full feel for like really what you have to do.
Sure. I've kind of stolen a motto from Coach Stelter.
Right.
His things is 1%, get 1% better every day. Um, and I think that's really important to follow. 1% isn't a lot, but over time that becomes a massive difference. Um, and staying stagnant isn't good. Just because you're not getting worse, that doesn't mean it's okay. You need to get a little bit better every single day. So I think following that's been really helpful for me, mentally. I'd say an average day of practice, I'm going to start warming up with just some overhead snaps, kind of get back into the groove a little bit of the day. And, then I'll do some 10-yard snaps, once I get comfortable, I'll do 15. Everything is slow snaps. I'm, very technical, during, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, a little bit more relaxed, I guess you could call it, really focusing on fixing little minor issues. And, once I get, Thursday, Friday, then I really start to speed up the tempo, and use that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and those little mistakes that I've corrected and use that for Tuesday, Thursday, and really get that down. So when I come in Saturday, I've got that down, and I can be the best snapper I can on Saturday.
Gotcha. I mean, it sounds as if guys that play the long snapper position are probably a little bit more sound in their technique than even some of the centers. I do remember talking to one guy that plays center at his university, and he actually ended up getting some tips from the long snapper, because you figure that's most of what you do, and obviously you're able to really put some insight into really how to snap the ball given whatever circumstance you're in. So tell me maybe a little bit about one of those times. I mean, have you had like maybe, I don't know, like a high pressure moment, or like you making a great play, like, on special teams, like maybe a tackle? Like, is there maybe one moment that really sticks out in your head as like one of the biggest highlights of your career?
Oh yes, definitely. It was a home game versus Prairie View A&M, or AMU, sorry. And I believe it was second quarter. We were a little bit down or even tied. I think we were down, but it was getting close to halftime, and we were in kind of a little bit of a bind. We had to go out and punt, and ran downfield, and as soon as he caught the ball, I was able to make contact with him, threw the guy completely off balance, wrapped him up, and then a teammate, helmet to the ball and knocked it right out. Really set up, my teammate to make a big play. Of course, I helped make that big play. And that next play we scored, and we ended up winning the game. So I think that was a big turning point, not only on the scoreboard, but mentally for the team. Momentum is big in football, and I think that really, created that snowball effect for us. So I think that was definitely my biggest highlight.
Cool. I mean, obviously, your job most, for you know, the big part is getting the ball to whoever it is, whether it be the punter or, or the holder. But I mean, being able to, really lay into somebody, it's got to, be an excellent feeling to go out there and do that. Colten, I was just going to say, tell tell the viewers just a little bit about, who you are, other than a football player. Any, whether it be you as a student there, that tell me about maybe the degree you obtained, any other interests or hobbies or passions that you have that you want to share in this video.
Sure. So I have my associates in science, and I haven't graduated yet, or I haven't got my bachelor's yet. But my dad is military, of course, so I have Hazelwood Act, which is a benefit when you enlist in Texas. And so I'm able to get free college from any university in Texas. So I'm going to get my degree in sport management at Texas A&M. So I think that's going to be really big in terms of getting a job. after, football is all said and done. Hopefully not here soon. Hopefully I have a long career in the NFL. But yeah, I think A&M is going to be big. It's a very, very known school. I mean, there's a joke, I guess you could call it. It's what do you call people who graduated from Texas A&M? Is boss. So, they're
Nice.
so
Nice.
I think that'll be good. I'm more of a nerdy, quiet type of person. I keep to myself. While people are bumping in the locker room, or sorry, like before games, everyone's partying and getting ready for the game and whatever. And I've just got my headphones on off to the side, just getting ready by myself. And yeah, and I think that I carry that sort of same type of personality throughout life. I've never really been an outspoken, I'm not I don't boast. I don't, everything is with my actions. And I think that's just a really good way to go about life, and a good way to, earn respect from people. And I think that's been helpful with how my parents have raised me and my brother. So
Great. I was just going to give you the opportunity maybe to give a shout out to some of those people. I mean, obviously you have some family there that have really, supported you throughout all the years. But also any teammates or coaches, anybody really that you feel like you need to give a shout out to. Not too many, but I mean, just a handful, just to kind of, give them some love.
yeah, first, obviously, without God, nothing's possible. And I want to start out with that one. My parents, I mean, they've been just absolutely incredible in terms of supporting me. I mean, both me and my brother have wrestled our entire lives. We're constantly going to tournaments. I mean, in Alaska, we traveled from Fairbanks to Anchorage every single weekend for almost 4 years. That's 6 hours there, 6 hours back, and they drove us every time. I mean, it's been my whole life. They traveled down to Mississippi for a couple home games. I mean, it's a lot of travel. In terms of on the team, I would say probably Felix Harper. He's the quarterback. He sort of carries himself the same way. He's quiet. He's humble. He does his job. He doesn't complain. And so I think he's earned a lot of respect from me for that. And I think that's a really good way to be an athlete. And lastly, I'd say Coach Kyle Stelter from Special Teams U. I mean, he's a freak of a coach. I mean, he's outstanding. And not only is he a great coach, I mean, he's a great person as well. So I think that's awesome.
So next question I have for you as we begin to wrap up here is that ultimate why question. Tell everybody why you play football.
I love competition, and I know, a long snapper doesn't really get the most competition in terms of reps. But I don't know. I love it. I mean, it's super exciting. I mean, going outside, going out and blasting somebody, and getting that, big adrenaline rush I mean, you can't beat it. You know what I mean? And, someday when I'm done with football and, hopefully I can find something else to get that feeling. It's just competition, man. I love to win and I hate to lose. So football or not, like I'm winning,
Gotcha. Well, I mean, some people would actually say that perhaps the long snapper position is probably one of the most competitive positions. And I only say that because on average, there's probably one long snapper drafted each and every year, on average, So why don't you go ahead and take the opportunity to give your pitch to that team. Tell them why you should be that one guy that is drafted so that maybe, that one pick that they make on the third day isn't wasted. Why should they draft you and bring you into their team?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm the biggest long snapper in this class. And, I don't think there's really any long snapper that has, gone downfield and has been a threat like I have, especially with my size on top of that. You know, I'm able to control myself well, and you know, sure, I might not be the fastest out there, but I'm very good at putting the returner in a bad position, so that, you know, if I get the tackle, you know, that's awesome for me. But that's not always my goal. It's to pin him into the sideline, you know, put him in an uncomfortable position so that my teammates can, you know, get a good shot at that tackle, and you know, put them in the worst position possible. So I think I do that best in the country, you know, and being the biggest to block. I'm fast for my size, you know, and I get the job done, you know, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I know it sounds silly, and you maybe haven't played these positions in a while, but I mean, with a guy at your size, I mean, you actually offer a lot of versatility in that in a pinch, and I'm not saying that you would do this on a regular basis, but in a pinch, you could play a handful of different positions, whether it be defensive line, tight end, fullback, even center. I mean, you could go in there again in a pinch if somebody needed you, like if somebody got injured. I mean, you're the guy that I'm always going to because, quite frankly, I could put you almost anywhere. And I think that that's one of the things that you got going for you. Whereas some of these other guys who are like 220 pounds, maybe 6 foot tall, I mean, I'm not going to want to put a guy like that in some of those positions. I mean, it's just not going to work. But I mean, for you, like, heck, I mean, you can do that. So I think that you got a lot going for you, and there is a possibility. I mean, I have heard from some guys that actually do have you as their top long snapper. It is quite possible that you are that one guy that does get drafted. And Colton, I do wish you the very best. I mean, even if you aren't, I do feel that some team is going to give you that opportunity.
Mhm.
But best of luck to you moving forward, bro.
Thank you.
Again, this is Colten Menges, who's a long snapper out of Alcorn State. Definitely check him out.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.